Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to talk about my Street Fighter 2 cabinet. This is actually a Dynamo HS5 cabinet that's running Street Fighter 2. However, it is not running the original PCB. This is actually running what's called the MiSTercade. It's an FPGA-based PCB that can reproduce games with pretty much 100% accuracy. Now, why would someone run this? Like, why would someone do this? It could be because they don't know how to repair a broken PCB. Maybe they bought a cabinet without a PCB. There's various different reasons. But before this solution existed, people would do things like Pandora's boxes. The negative to these is the emulation on these is just not great, and it doesn't do a great job reproducing the arcade experience as you remember it. So that's when MiSTercade came to the scene, and it is very, very good, very accurate, and I would be really hard pressed to find someone that could tell the difference between a game, an arcade game running on an FPGA versus the original hardware. But before this came around, before MiSTercade existed, and we'll talk more about it in a minute, there's a thing called the DarkSoft mod that was geared toward Capcom games, and it was a way to run various Capcom games on Capcom original hardware. We're gonna go into the garage, I'm gonna show you that, and then I'm gonna show you a little bit more about the MiSTercade. So let's head out to the garage and check it out. Okay, so before MiSTer existed, there were solutions like this. This was a DarkSoft mod. So this was a company that came along and built this custom PCB that sits on top of an original Capcom CPS2 board. Now the thing about it that's really cool is it came with this little breakout LCD, and you'd load basically ROMs onto this little SD card. And so you'd see, like, it's saying now playing Street Fighter, but let's say I wanted to play Street Fighter 2 Turbo instead of, I can't remember, I think we have CE playing right now. Then I'd hit enter, and now what it's doing, you can read it, it says flashing the flash writing. So right now it's actually flashing the board with the ROM information for a different game. It does delay a little bit, so it's not gonna be as instant. Like, MiSTer is pretty instant, but you can see it'll show you progress on this little LCD. You would mount this somewhere on your arcade cabinet. It's an awesome solution. You're running all on original hardware. There's a little bit of a wait time, but you'll see in a second here, the screen will, once it's done writing, okay, it says all done, have fun, and you're gonna see that game boot up right here. So you can see now it says Street Fighter 2. So it's pretty cool. The other thing that's kind of neat about it is there's also, even though it's not technically a CPS2 game, they have, I think it was Alien vs. Predator. I can't remember if it was Alien vs. Predator, but I think they also have the Punisher on here, and that's one of my favorites, so it's kind of cool that that's on here. Let's see if we can find it really quick. Okay, so it has Punisher. They're calling it CPS 1.5. So if I load that up, it's now gonna write the flash for that, and you're gonna see it'll start that game up. The solution's really cool because it runs on original hardware, and how I have it set up right here is I have a super gun connected to it, so I'm able to extract the video signal and put it on this LCD. This is actually the Unico, I can't remember the name of it. Monitor? Yeah, Phoenix monitor, thank you. Mason behind the camera made the logo for that thing. The writing's almost done, so you'll see in a second it should play the Punisher. The other thing too is you have to find a way to get this to HDMI, so I have this little RetroTink 2X. So there you go, the Punisher is now loaded on here, and I have this kind of set up as a test bench so I can actually press start here. I have a little volume control hooked up to it, and yeah, the picture quality is not the best. I need to tune it, but kind of cool. So if you had an arcade cabinet and you wanted to have some versatility to it, multiple games, but you were, you know, kind of more of a purist, you wanted to make sure you were running original hardware, you could totally do this DarkSoft mod. The one thing I'll say with DarkSoft mod is it is really expensive. They have a CPS 1 version and a CPS 2 version. The one I'm running right now is the CPS 2. So I just wanted to show you that so you had a comparison. I was originally gonna do the video on that, but when the MiSTercade came out, it kind of made this sort of an obsolete solution in my opinion. Okay, so you saw how the DarkSoft mod worked, right? You have that little LCD, you select the game, and it loads the game for you. This is much easier than that. So it has a hotkey, you hit your joystick button down and then player 1, and then you can load different cores. So the different cores are different arcade games. So for instance, right now we're running Street Fighter, but let's say we wanted to play Strider. We have our menu right here, we hit Strider, we hit the action button there, and it's gonna load it up. And look how much faster this is loading it than how the DarkSoft mod loaded it. And again, this is FPGA, it's gonna give you the best experience possible, and now you can play Strider. So when I'm done playing Strider, if I wanna change the game again, joystick down, player 1, move over to core, and then there's a bunch more cores. There's a lot of actual games on MiSTer, and they're adding new ones all the time. So let's say I wanna play Tapper. So we go to Tapper, it's gonna load up, it loads up super fast, like I said. You do not have that delay time you do with the Darksoft. The beauty of this over the Darksoft is this actually supports everything, right? So it's got Capcom games, it's got some Konami games, it's got Taito, it's got like basically, I don't want to say everything because it takes some actual reverse engineering work to get an FPGA core made, but yeah, it's a really cool solution, and like I said before, it kind of makes the Darksoft sort of obsolete. So let's open it up because I want to see, if you don't know what the MiSTercade looks like, I'll show you. And there's also some cool little things you can do with it that I think you'll think is really cool as well. So I'm gonna close this up. I got some wires in the way. That's actually for my second demonstration. I want to show you guys something really cool that you can do with this. So on these cabinets, you just pull the shelf out. When you pull the shelf out, you'll get access to the PCB. Now obviously this isn't the original PCB, but that is the MiSTer. So this is the MiSTercade. It's JAMA Edge connector. And the cool thing is the MiSTercade actually has support for CPS1 and CPS2 kick harnesses. So this is truly a plug and play solution to any CPS1 or CPS2 cabinet, and you'll utilize all 6 buttons, so you won't have any issues there. And then one of the cool things that I didn't even tell you about, I don't have this one Wi-Fi connected. I end up plugging it into Ethernet every now and then. They have update scripts that can run all the time on this. So you'll run the update scripts. If they add new games, you'll gain access to the new games. Some are behind a paywall. There's a couple guys in the field here that they will actually do their own core work, and they won't let those cores be part of the main package until they're like baked and ready to go, but you can pay for that. There's like a Patreon. I'll actually have a link of the Patreon. There's a guy, I can't remember his name, but he works on a lot of the cores. So this is an interesting piece of this. So this is called the snack adapter. So the snack adapter lets you use like original hardware. This one, actually, the reason why I have it is so you can play Duck Hunt. I'll show you that in a second. So you can plug a real NES zapper into this, load the NES core, and actually play Duck Hunt on this machine with a real NES zapper, which I think is kind of cool. So I'll show you that right now. Okay, so I got the NES zapper. Now I'm doing this outside of the cabinet just for purposes of the test. So you plug the NES zapper into the snack adapter, right? And you can see it's a regular NES zapper. It's the original equipment stuff, original connector. So I'm gonna plug that in. Now I need to change the core. Obviously it's a little bit harder to do because I have it out of the cabinet, but I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go core. I wanna go to Nintendo, so I'm gonna go to NES. Okay, you have to enable the snack adapter, so you just go in here and go to input options, and then you see it says snack, and you have to tell it what it is. It's a zapper. That's literally all you have to do. So once you have the snack adapter all plugged in and you enable the snack adapter for the zapper, you can simply just play now. So it detects the gun as original equipment, and you can play Duck Hunt on your arcade machine. But imagine you're playing Duck Hunt and you're playing it in the way that this is obviously not the Nintendo versus Duck Hunt, but I like the console version too. They're both great. You could certainly load the arcade version as well, but there's a lot of great NES Zapper games, and now you have access to those on your arcade cabinet. So you can kind of see like this MiSTercade adds a lot of versatility to your arcade cabinet. You could also play console games if you want. I was playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on this the other day, so let's load up some Contra. I like the Contra version on NES much better than arcade. I'm pretty sure everyone's kind of in that same camp. And then I got one extra thing I want to show you guys as it relates to MiSTer. Okay, a little problem. I don't have the Contra ROM on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook it up to my Ethernet cable here, and we're gonna load Contra up on this. So the thing that's kind of funny is that I'm an idiot and I didn't even realize it wasn't on here. So we're just gonna put it on. We just gotta connect the Ethernet cable, and I'll show you, it's actually pretty simple to put games on here. So there's an Ethernet port right here. You can use Wi-Fi too, it's just that I find that I get better speeds to this thing if I do it over Ethernet versus Wi-Fi. Okay, so this thing in a second should show an IP address up here. When it connects, it could take usually like 10 to 15 seconds, and then they should see, instead of no network, you'll see an IP address pop up there in a second. So there it is right there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and FTP to this IP address, and then we'll copy the Contra game right in that NES folder. We should be able to come back over and play it. Okay, so I downloaded the Contra NES ROM, and you can see I FTP'd with FileZilla to the actual MiSTercade. Then you're gonna navigate to Media, Fat, Games, NES, and then I'm just gonna drag and drop the Contra ROM over here. It's gonna copy it pretty quick. I mean, these aren't big files. It's already there. So now we should be able to go back over to the arcade cabinet and play Contra. Okay, now that I copied Contra over, I'm just gonna go over here, go down, player 1, load, and then I'm gonna pick Contra, and it should be good to go. Awesome, now we got Contra, so we can play Contra on our arcade cabinet. Now this to me is the version of Contra. Like, it is the quintessential first version of Contra. I don't care what anybody says. I love arcade games, but Contra for the NES was the better game in my opinion. So yeah, so this is like, I mean, think about the versatility of something like this, right? You can make this sort of your multicade, but also get the proper experience, right? Because there's really not much lag here, if any, when you're using this FPGA device. Oh shoot, I died. Okay. And you know, guess what? The 30 guys code, up, down, left, right. Is it BA start? That works in here too. So if you want to go and give yourself your 30 lives, you can. But here's the thing. This is an arcade channel, but we also do some console stuff. So MiSTer doesn't end here. I actually recently sold almost all of my retro consoles. And I thought to myself, before I did it, could the MiSTer replace all of my retro consoles? So I'm going to show you what I kind of set up in my living room to play retro games, and you'd be surprised at how freaking cool it is. I wanted to show you the MiSTer as it pertains to console gaming. So I've got the snack adapter here too. Now, really quick, let me just explain what the snack adapter really is meant for. It's meant for lowest latency possible when you're playing these games, because oftentimes when people are playing retro games, they complain about lag or latency. So snack is supposed to be able to support original equipment controllers like a PlayStation controller and have near zero lag. People will say that the USB plugins that look like these are just as good. I'm a big fan of the snack adapter. I feel like you can really feel the latency, especially when you're playing like a game like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I feel like with the snack adapter, it's money. So I have a snack adapter for the PlayStation, the Genesis, the NES, SNES, and Saturn. The problem is I sold all of my consoles, so I don't really have original controllers. So we're gonna go to the store real quick, pick up as many of the ones as we can, and then I'll come back here and show you how this works. I played this so much as a kid. Still got it. Booga booga. Booga booga. The only natural way to end this video would be with one of my favorite Sega Genesis games of all time, Streets of Rage. And the thing is, these controllers work great with this snack adapter. Could this actually replace all your consoles of this era? It really could. I mean, it plays the games amazingly well, and outside of having to acquire the software, which, you know, you gotta kind of do that yourself. I can't really give you many tips on that. I think you could actually replace your consoles with something like this. You also have options that obviously modern consoles don't have. You have shaders and upscalers and all sorts of things that you can do with this to make the experience even better than the way you remember it. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video on MiSTer and the MiSTercade and all this stuff. There's just so many new options for people looking to replace either legacy arcade boards or even legacy or older aging console hardware that, you know, we live in some pretty interesting times to have options like this. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel, put your comments below. I want to hear from you, and that's it for now, guys. We will see you on the next one.